people get kind of stuck into one way. So, and that was happened also to me. Like if I wanted to then build muscle and become just stronger, then I'm constantly thinking I need to maintain that. Like I can never break it. I can never take a break from it. I just need to like keep eating the protein, and it's like the body requires, like you said, these phases where you actually tone everything down.
The modern way is so dysfunctional that these people, they're afraid to take 1 week off or 2 weeks off, and if they take 1 month off, they think they will lose all their progress and gains and everything. It's not just the middle way that is correct. Actually, the correct way, how we see it and how we live it, is that both ends are correct. Like the Lao Tzu in his book Tao Te Ching, he said there's time when you should go really hard, and then there's time when you should go really slow.
Right now, one of the major things is that I feel really free to try anything, and that is something that I really like. You know, whether it is the martial arts, but it could be other stuff as well, some other equipments. Like I can explore into different directions, and I don't have to be like afraid of losing really like anything.
But I'm never in the middle, and I'm never obsessed with either end. I move freely from one extreme to another as I wish and as I need to. So Eero, where is your training and physique and everything else related to health and fitness? What is the current state you are in right now?
I would say my current state, actually, I feel the most, let's say, most functional and complete that ever in my history of training, like currently. And it is never like a perfect moment or something, but for me, that is a big thing that I can actually look back, even this over 10 years, like a decade of training. And my body has not like deteriorated at all, like completely contrary. Like during the years, I, fixed multiple pains from my body. I can feel my performance, speed, explosiveness, everything, even my endurance have gotten better over the years. And that has been a part of, conscious change. Like we've talked many times about our history when we've been focused more on just lifting and the aesthetics, but making a very conscious change from there, little by little, towards the health, towards the performance, towards the posture, like little by little developing these methods, coming more and more closer towards the truth of the body, truth of our nature, or where it's heading, and finding real confidence in our body's abilities. So right now, it's pretty much come to the point where I really focused on training even if I would do some sort of bodybuilding training or train my trainer specific back or shoulder or something, it always carries a functional element with it. It always carries something that it actually also aids my body. It aids in helping to, for example, just develop stability. Every single exercise, whether it's bodybuilding or something, calisthenics, it develops good attributes in my body. But most of the training that I'm doing nowadays is directly focused on like real performance. I do a lot of stuff. I develop a lot of training, indirect training methods and very direct training methods that are designed, for example, for the martial arts. So mixed martial arts type of training, they can be for the boxing, striking, they can be more for the wrestling. And then, for example, I'd say these different methods where you are, like the direct methods, sort of mimic some of these movements that you might be doing. So they have a very direct benefit. You're training certain kinetic chains. I'm doing constantly like this kind of chain training, tension chain training, which is a method we will release later, but also these kinetic chain methods. And of course, the equipment wise, I don't lift that much weights. During this, or actually during past year, we transitioned into, the maces and club bells. Like I found out about these club bells and maces, and finally like had the courage to try them out, because I was just like never really considered them. So I started to train with the maces, noticed how incredibly beneficial they are. We've already made multiple videos of that, and how they're like a thousands of year old equipment used by the warriors in India. Like that was their main training. And also, very interesting, another main training method that these guys had in the India I'm talking about, the ancient warriors, was movement training. So that is also one of the main things that I'm doing now.
Kalaripayattu.
Yeah, in Kalaripayattu, which is at least it's stated the world's oldest martial art, but who knows? But you can still say that it's very old, art that these guys practiced. And it's incredible, to think that they did the mazes, they had the Indian squat, they had the Indian push-up or Hindu push-up, Hindu squat, and then they have these, the animal movements. And then they did a bunch of like acrobatic sort of movement training, limberness, like a limber, to make themselves really limber and flexible and just bouncy and elastic bodies. But yeah, so the training is like the direct sort of athletic training, the indirect athletic training, movement training, and now I'm doing a bunch of actually the maze training, even Indian clubs, because of the benefits that I noticed them to have. So everything is more or less geared towards really developing strength that I feel is most functional for what I'm trying to achieve in the martial arts area.
Yeah, what most people don't realize, that especially when people see Eero right now, is that 10 years ago Eero had actually lots of problems, like his squat form wasn't that good, even deadlift form didn't look so good, and there were lots of pains, not like serious injuries, but lots of like small injuries.
Yeah, you can say like serious pains, because
hurting, like
yeah.
exercise hurt, like, and so on. And I was the same, like in the past I had lots of problems everywhere, like rib cage, elbows, shoulder, back, and so on. But right now I haven't actually felt even pain for years. Like I haven't felt any pain in my knees, no matter what I do, for years. I don't even remember the last time. And the same with ankles, the same with my hip, and the same with shoulders as well. Like imagine, I've been exercising, doing even like some dumbbells and weights and everything else for years, and I've never felt any pain or discomfort in my joints for years. So that's like, for me, it's like a very big like victory. But other than that, training wise, I also feel the best I've ever felt, and training has morphed little by little into more this kind of like this ancient style, which is, I feel it's closer to God, closer to nature. And I feel like not just in terms of training, but in life in general and how I feel in my body, I feel closer and closer to nature and God and this natural way of life, like every month and every year. And it has been a very long process. Like it has taken years to get to this point. Like it has taken, I have had to give up lots of things. I've had to change lots of things in my lifestyle and diet and so on. But maybe right now, like the last challenge for me is just being disciplined with the diet and nutrition. But other than that, like training wise, training with the mazes and club bells and focusing more and more on the animal movements, it really feels like the animal movements combined with some athletic training and high intensity training and mazes and club bells, and qigong as well. It's like the most complete package. Like I don't have so much interest in, like I barely do any chin-ups nowadays. Of course, sometimes I do, but for the most part, I just, all these hanging exercises, it's like very small part of my training, when in the past it used to be a very big part. Like nowadays, like it becomes smaller and smaller, and I'm more and more focused on, martial arts and just general health and feeling good and being strong and being athletic and having performance.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like nowadays, it can be like some months without doing really any of this like pull-up stuff that used to be like, every single week was doing like some sort of chin-up, pull-up or something. And it's not like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't really do them or something, but it's just been the gradual changes. Like that, it's not the most useful necessarily exercise. It's something that makes me feel good. Of course, I can do pull-ups still, even if I don't practice them, I can do them well, and that's all. But there's been this how do I say, like journey away from stuff that really doesn't serve like much of these purposes that we really nowadays have, like regards to martial arts. And everything is like, because you said like you're kind of closer to nature, closer to God or something like that. And our entire methodology has always been like constantly getting like closer to your own body in a way. And that is and to get closer to your body, you need to be in tune with the nature. Like you need to have this awareness of your body. And I think through that awareness, the more you feel your body, the more you start to really respect the feelings that come from there. And then you follow that flow that comes from it. Like that's like what I'm majorly like trying to constantly get close to my body. And that also guides the development of the current methods that I'm making. It all builds on this foundation that I've for years now developed to become just more and more in tune, to feel everything that's going on in the body on multiple levels, to be able to sense whether there's tightnesses or sense whether there's some imbalances, and then guide the training through that. And even based on all the methods that I have, you know, even if I don't talk about the performance, but the healing aspect, it's like respecting the body. Like you respect the messages that it sends to you. And through that, like being able to heal it and use these different like therapeutic training methods that I've developed multiple. But then I also transformed that even to the performance training, that when you do performance type of training and you go hard, you can kind of respect the body. Like you still don't break it there, because many athletes, when like this is what I was kind of afraid of, you know, you go and you train hard, that you actually, like you don't really have a choice. You can't control your development. Like you will just kind of you break yourself. But trying to carry that same respect with you, like wherever you go, like in these areas of training.
Yeah, for us, it's a lot about right now. It's about also understanding the different stages and rhythms of life. Like because there's like different like ways of eating and different ways of living and different ways of training, depending on the rhythm and the stage of your life. For example, how you eat can have or has really big impact on your performance. But performance usually doesn't really heal or detox the body. So even your diet can be adjusted depending on your stage in your life. Do you want to focus more on healing your body, or do you want to focus more on performing? For example, do you have some goals you want to reach, and do you want to do something like this? For example, if you want to compete, or if you want to build muscle, or if you want to get stronger and more athletic, then you should focus more on the performance aspect. But in every year there comes periods where you should, depending on your current state of the body and physique, you should focus more on the detox and more on the health aspect. And by focusing on the detox and health aspect, not only should your training become more soft, but your diet should also change drastically, because these different diets and different ways of training aid different things in your body.
Yeah, that's a good point, because people get kind of stuck in the one way. So, and that was happened also to me. Like if I wanted to then build muscle and become just stronger, then I'm constantly thinking I need to maintain that. Like I can never break it. I can never take a break from it. I just need to like keep eating the protein and like really heavy food and meats and stuff and keep on going. But it's like the body requires, like you said, these phases where you actually tone everything down. And it actually makes good. Like we have even talked about this, like you need to have this sort of like a period of where you really like withdraw everything. You maybe reduce the eating, you change the stuff that you don't no longer eat, like so much maybe red meat and protein. Like you have to give your body a break from this kind of stuff every now and then. And even from the certain type of training, you should keep a break every now and then. And it is possible to do this very naturally if you just are, feeling, like you said, the natural rhythms. Like you just become aware of it, and you even recognize that they are there. And you don't think that, well, if you keep a break, then you're going to lose everything. But it's actually, you're just more likely to gain.
Yes, the modern way is so dysfunctional that these people, they're afraid to take 1 week off or 2 weeks off. And if they take 1 month off, they think they will lose all their progress and gains and everything. So
yeah, it's not complete off anyway. Like it's
never
still
off.
Doing.
And they really feel like they're really driven by fear, and they're really afraid to lose. And as a result, they destroy their bodies internally and externally, like joints as well, because they don't give themselves and their body time to recover and relax. And it doesn't mean recover just recover for weekend, but it can mean sometimes you have to recover for 1 month.
I feel like from this getting stuck thing, because people not only they get stuck into the certain way of training and they usually get stuck into looking a certain way. And this is a very important part in the training that we are nowadays, like to not be fixated on a certain look, like to not be fixated, I have to look this way or I have to carry this amount of muscle, because that's a real thing. Like you think, okay, especially if you are like I am in the videos, like I feel like I should probably maintain, of course I need to be somewhat fit, I can't, if I'm a person who is like in front of these guys and I'm inspiring people to train and trying to help them to train, you need to look like you're doing something. But for me, like I always felt like, well, I need to maybe be even bigger and even bigger and even bigger. But I realized that that's not really even needed, like, because I don't want to be part of the thing. I want to give people an idea, like a realistic idea of what the body is. It's unhealthy and it's a distorted view, like what these bodybuilders and many are like spreading, that you're constantly this buffed up guy. Like these people destroy their lives and they die very young because they never keep the break. They never let their body rest. And it's not like I haven't been part of that in a long time. But especially now, talking about this fixation and getting rid of it, it allowed so much freedom to explore. If I would have stayed stuck in looking a certain way or trying to maintain some arbitrary strength lift, I would have never explored these different methods. I would never even done probably movement training, seriously like I do it nowadays. I would not have probably even tried like the mazes and the clubs, because I felt like, well, it's probably useless stuff. So right now, one of the major things is that I feel like really free to try anything. And that is something that I really like. And, whether it is some, the martial arts, whether it's the Kung Fu stuff that I like to do, but it could be other stuff as well, some other equipments. Like I can explore in the different directions, and I always carry the foundation that I've developed over this decade with me. Like I'm always carrying that with me wherever it goes. It helps me in every single area. The bulletproofing of the joints, the connection that I have to my joints, the control that I have, the stability. Like I have really good confidence and trust into that. Like I can how do you say, like apply it, these different things very freely. And I don't have to be like afraid of losing really like anything. So that's also something that maybe describes this current state of training where I want try to help people to get to also.
Yeah, like being driven and ambitious and determined about your goals and training is very important and it's very good. But you should let go of control, and you should also let go of this fixed mindset of that I have must. You have to be kind of like water and kind of like flow up and down and just go according to the rhythms of your life, but also rhythms of your body and rhythms of nature. Then you will reach the best results and the best everything. But if you try to control, if you live this Joe Rogan, Jocko Willing, which is also one aspect, but if you get fixated on this, then by the time you are like 50 years old and you have been training for 20 years, you are like completely wrecked and destroyed from head to toe. And that's the unfortunate reality. But if you go with the flow, with the rhythms of your body and life, then you will be able to avoid everything while also reaching pretty much the same level.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, these guys, like who is the Goggins? Like,
yes.
Of course, I think he made himself by being this extreme guy, and for him it was like maybe it was worth the sacrifice that he had, like developing some stuff in his body, like perhaps. But like one of the things that I always look at, like, are the people to who I am talking to. Like I know that like majority of the people, they're not gonna go like full Goggins or something like that. Like you gotta have, you know, your own thing. Like everyone that you're looking up to, you can take inspiration and look at, like, you know, that this guy pushes, and when you need to push, then you think of that guy. Now I'm gonna push as well. Like I can go through this, but there's always your own life, and none of these guys look at some other guy at some point like, well, okay, now I'm gonna do exactly like this other guy does. Like you need to find, there's always your own journey, and that happens, you know, there's the own rhythms that you have. Like I've always also battled like with, sometimes I'm trying to make a decision on my life, and I try to look at confirmation, like from outside. I try to look at what this other guy did, and then kind of get this validation, confirmation, and reinforcement. Like, okay, now I'm making the right decision. But you can't always do that. You have to be also able to look at inside of yourself and understand that this is a unique situation. You're an individual, and you know you need to make your own decisions based on that also, not just looking at the other people.
And it also depends, like you said, you have to look into yourself, and usually the middle way is there. Like in Buddhism, it always talks about the middle way.
Yeah.
And the middle way is really the best way and the correct way, because if you go to the one extreme, like the David Goggins or Joe Rogan, then you're just gonna, by the time you're like 50 years old, you're destroyed, and you still have maybe, in the current state of the development, you have maybe 40 years or 50 years to live, and your body is broken. Like how enjoyable will the second half of your life be if you go this route? But on the other end, if you just don't do anything, then you just don't achieve anything, and you don't really find any fulfillment from anything either. Like you just fade into nothingness, and your life becomes nothing, and like this. So the middle, like actually, it's not just the middle way that is correct. Actually, the correct way, how we see it and how we live it, is that both ends are correct. Like there are periods in your life, like the Lao Tzu in his book Tao Te Ching, he said there's time for this and then there's time for this. Like I don't remember exactly the thing, but there's time to be rigorous or something like vigorous, like time to, and then there's time to relax and like this. But that's the whole point. Like there's time when you should go really, really hard.
Yeah.
And then there's time when you should go really, really slow and really relax and take it easy. Like that's the secret. It's not like, I don't even like just being in the middle, like being like, it's somewhere like a purgatory, like this. Like you're not really in heaven, but you're not really in hell either. It's like, make a decision, like where you want to be. Do you want to go hard or do you want to relax? And that's the problem, because people, when they relax and detox and recover, they feel like I have to do this and do this. So they don't actually recover, because your mind also needs to recover. And likewise, when people go hard, they just cannot stop. They feel like if I take even a little bit time off, then everything is lost. So, but the best way is really in different phases of life to go really, really hard, maybe for 2 months, or take, like in Warrior 20X method, we have the 30 days of discipline cycle. And in Qigong, there's also 30 days cycle and 100 days cycle. Like you take like a period in your life where you focus on this one thing and this one aspect and just go all in. And then after that it's over, you switch. Like for example, right now I'm eating mostly meat and dairy. Like I'm like very ancestral diet with some berries. Like, but this is only for 30 days. And in different time of the year, I will be doing vegan. Like I will be eating only plants and like this. So that's really the thing. Like I switch from one thing to another. And right now I'm training more and like this, because now I'm trying to build. Like when I'm building, I'm focusing more on the performance and more on the aggressive nature of my mentality. But then when it's time to take it easy, then I let my body recover, let my mind recover, and then strategize what I'm going to do next. But I'm never in the middle, and I'm never like obsessed with either end. I move freely from one extreme to another as I wish and as I need to.
Yeah, I feel like for me the middle road is, or for many people, it's difficult to find it because the training used to be like very extreme and then for me the middle, actually finding the middle place was kind of like a late realization, because I felt like that was something that I hadn't completely like explored and found that, for example, the power in just doing everyday something that is not extreme, but it's not necessarily super light, but just going, doing your maintenance like every single day and trusting into that process. Of course you put your mind to it, but it doesn't like break your body, but it also doesn't let you recover. Like there's like finding that sort of like a very steady state of training was also something that I needed to realize for myself, because that this was a really important part for me to making progress. Also, just keeping this certain like a rhythm in my life. But I would also still say that maybe for the most part I have a bit of shame to you that I go from really hard to style where I'm just completely doing mobility, I'm doing flexibility, I'm doing just a lot of breathing. It's very like let's say like rejuvenating training, Qigong training during this time, and then again like pushing hard because it works like really well. But I also think like people need to realize the power in just doing something like, for example, the morning routine that we have. Like you could probably consider that's like detox training. That's very light training. It's the other end of it. But people don't feel like it produces results because they do it like once or something. But there's an enormous power in doing something like every single day, even though you don't feel it that much in your body. Just the blood flow, with just the mobilizing effort, like your joints produce this lubricating like fluids when you're moving them. So do that, because the opposite side of thing is that you don't do anything, and that will cause a lot of like havoc into your body. So even understanding the benefit and the value of just doing something little every day, if you can't do the extreme stuff, it has value like a lot. So the extreme ends here, you shouldn't like underestimate either of them. You can use them, like Samuli said, whenever it's needed to your own benefits, but you need to be able to make the change when it's also needed or asked or required for your body.
Yeah, even from our YouTube channel and how we release things, you will notice that, of course, we have the steady maintenance pace. Every day we do some training, and no matter what, almost. Like even when we detox or recover, we do some different training always. But it's the same goes with productivity. But it's good to keep the maintenance and the steady pace all year round. But in some occasions, for example, we used to do the 2 weeks Muay Thai camp in Bangkok, Thailand. For we used to train 2 times per day, like Muay Thai. And it was very tough, but it was only for 2 weeks. But for 2 weeks, it was like superb results. And then we had to take some time off. And likewise, there are some periods where you should just recover and detox, maybe for 1 week or 2 weeks or even 1 month. It always depends on some people, I would say, who have gone really to the one extreme, like to the aggressive extreme, they probably need to detox for 1 month straight, or sometimes 2 months. Some people probably 1 year, because they have gone so much to the extreme. Because the more you stay in the middle, the more you can freely move from one extreme to the another without getting any negative side effects from either one.
Yep, and that's actually a point. If you now know this, you might have like 2 extreme things. One is you're not like making any progress. You notice like you're just completely plateauing. So it might mean that you actually need some kind of a hard phase in your training. Like you need to actually take things for like 30 days or something. Like let's go. Like
it's
push yourself.
Yeah, it feels like there's some wall or barrier. You just have to break it through. Like you have to just keep going and go. And at some point it will break. The wall will break through, and you will reach the next level. You will jump to the next level. And you will keep the next level as long as you don't go too much to the other end.
Yep, but then there's the other road where there's these guys who've been pushing, and then they don't see them. Like these guys who are pushing, like they're trying to make it, and what all they're getting is more and more tight, more and more pain start to appear, more and more aches start to appear, and with these guys, they should realize that okay, if I can, like you cannot push through this thing, maybe you need to go a little bit back to regather yourself, and then you can push again, because it could be that your foundation is lacking completely. You might have like some serious imbalances in your body, for example. You need to take care of those. You really need to go back, and this is what we did. Like we really took a big step back, and for many years it was mostly actually focusing on the restoration. While like seriously, like a couple of years of almost nothing but restorative training. Of course, some strength training, but still a lot of the focus was on building a foundation and just really like with that pinpoint accuracy, getting to know the different muscles in your body, training every single angle that you could think of, all the different articulations in the body. Like that's you need to look at like in which end perhaps you might be, and then based on that.
Yeah, because we from the early point of training we understood that if we go hard, we break the body, because we did break the body, but we understood many years later that if you want to reach the high level, we have to eliminate the weaknesses and the risk points in the body. So that's where the bulletproofing aspect of athlete NEXX method came from, and also fixing the injuries and mobilizing the body and focusing on the structural balance and improving the posture, because it made the body capable of withstanding the extreme training. And lately more and more we have moved to this extreme way of training and more to the performance, because now we are physically and mentally capable of withstanding all the stress, all the risks that come with that type of training without sacrificing our whole life and our whole future for the sake of it.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good like view on what we are about nowadays. Like that's the performance thing, but really being in tune with the rhythms of the life and
we also more like far sighted than most people.
What do you mean? You can see.
Yeah, because people think you change of course you can change your life in 1 month, but real progress starts to happen after 1 year. Progress actually happens already after 3 months, you can see, but good progress is like 1 year, but real progress is like 10 years.
Yep. And this is an important part, actually, almost like a whole other subject, is that the training, like becoming better at physical training is something, there are steps that you cannot skip. Like you can maybe become good at certain things really fast, but when it comes to physical training, like the way to develop your nervous system, the way to develop your tendons, your ligaments, you cannot in no way you cannot speed it up. There's the natural process. It takes a certain amount of time to repair the tissue that you have in the body and to really develop the nervous system and the connection so you can contract your muscles by will.
And the tendons also, and the ligaments, they take like 3 months.
Yeah, it's much slower than actually the muscles. So in this regard, you have to accept that there's this timeline. And like you said, 1 year you can already transform yourself. But for me, for example, to develop what I have now, the connection is it took just tons and tons and tons of training. You need to really put effort into it. Every workout you do, you need to really develop the mind to perceive your body. So that is starting now and not skipping that foundation and not just immediately jumping to that performance and to the hard end of things, because that shortcut doesn't work. Your body has to have the time to really build itself up. And the more you bulletproof it now, the less you need to worry in the future.